Welcome back to the Radical Innovators podcast. Today we're connecting with a leader who is a true rarity in her space. Ola Snow, the Chief Human Resources Officer at Cardinal Health. Ola has spent nearly 24 years with one of the largest healthcare service companies in the world, serving in a variety of leadership roles before rising to the top HR job. Her career is a testament to the power of a mission driven culture. Our conversation delved into how to drive business outcomes by prioritizing the human element, even during periods of massive industry disruption and M&A activity. When asked what she is most proud of from her time at Cardinal Health, Ola emphasized the importance of mental health in creating a culture of belonging for their global workforce. It was a privilege to learn how Ola has navigated this mission driven journey. Let's dive in and learn more about leading with authenticity, cultivating trust with Cardinal Health's Ola Snow. Hey, Ola, great to see you today.
Thank you, Frank. It's a pleasure to finally connect and be with you today also.
I know it's hard to imagine that it's taken so long. I realize we've got so many mutual connections that I'm glad that we're able to make this happen now.
I am too. So excited to get started.
Curious about your personal journey and your background as someone who's been in the HR space for a while now, and achieved the most senior role. A lot of the people that are listening to the podcast are people that aspire to be in the role that you're in. Would love it if you could share some of the insights in terms of some of the things that you did to get to where you are, whether that's some of the things that you had to make tough trade-offs, personal, professional, and some of them maybe the roles that you took and led to you to get to this current role as CHRO.
Sure. Well, first of all, let me say, people will say, why did you choose HR? And I always say HR kind of chose me. So I'm a product of a mom that was a college professor and a dad who was in public service and ran baseball stadiums and football stadiums and arenas for cities. And so it was kind of the service and the business kind of collided. And they both were always very centered of people being whether they were teaching them or they were serving the communities. That's I think how I was raised. So I always think of HR chose me. I've been with Cardinal Health almost 24 years, which is a long time to be with one company.
Yeah.
So I started in Wheeling, West Virginia in 2001. It was my first stint in healthcare, and I was kind of bitten right off the bat by Cardinal Health and the mission of serving others. And so personally and functionally, it just was this great opportunity for me. As a Fortune 16 company, it's a large organization with a lot of different businesses, business models, different types of customers, and we really service end to end the continuum of care. So I got to spend a lot of time within this organization, servicing and working alongside business leaders in probably 20 different quote companies, if you think about it that way. So I just got to learn a lot about different types of healthcares, but to stay in one organization, which has been great. So I grew up as a business partner started on the pharma side out in the field. So I got to really understand the distribution side of the business. I moved to a corporate several years into that journey and supported some corporate functions as a business partner, moved over to our medical side of the business, what we call GMPD, and served as a senior HR leader in that business. And that is our largest people business, global business. And so I got to support manufacturing, sourcing really around the globe, and which represented about 25,000 of our now 50,000 employees. From there, I took a role to lead all of our centers of excellence in HR. So I'd certainly worked on the peripheral with all of those great COE leaders, comp benefits, talent management, all of that. But I got to lead that business under one of my mentors, Pam Kimmett, for 3 years. And in classic Pam Kimmett fashion, she threw me right in the fire. And so I started leading the comp committees alongside her. So that was really my introduction to working with the board of directors, which is such an important part of this role, as we know. But, I look back now, that experience was just so very valuable to me to learn from not only a functional expert and leader in our space, but a great board of directors. Kind of gave me a warm up for this job, so to speak, as well. So lots to unpack there, but it was a great experience to kind of plant my feet in an organization that aligns with my personal values. Learn a lot about the different businesses and different customers that we serve. Our HR folks are business folks first, so that's really important. So maybe a unique career that I will, really kind of start my HR journey and end my HR journey one of these days at the same organization, but a great organization to support along the way.
Yeah, it's phenomenal, and you hit on one of the things I want to get to later, which was specifically around mentors. But I think that that idea of being around and being part of every one of those businesses that you were in set you up for great success in this role in terms of having a very deep understanding of the business. And to your point, being a business leader first, HR, right, is always leading with the business. And so I think about that because it's come up a lot, and the various CHRO dinners that I host, but also in some of the recent podcast episodes about the evolving role of the CHRO. And I'm curious how you either personally experienced this or how your organization is looking at that.
Well, I think thankfully at this organization, HR has always not only had a seat at the table, but an important seat at the table. I kind of kid, and my neighbors are the CEO on one side and the CFO on the other. It's always been a very valued part of the organization. We don't even really use the word functions in this organization. What I will say, it has changed quite a bit. I would say pre-COVID, but obviously COVID changed the dynamic a lot for us. And I would say not only with our executive teams, but with our board of directors as well. We were always at the board of directors meetings. We always have done succession conversations, cultures conversations, but those conversations, whether it be because of the pandemic, because of the labor shortages that were happening now, if you think about just the conversations around AI and specifically around talent acquisition and talent retention, those conversations are happening at every single board meeting, not just HR compensation
Yeah.
committees. And board members are shareholders alike are really understanding how you're working today, but preparing for the future, because we know that workforce will continue to change throughout the next several years. So I would say, CHROs have always said they wanted that important role. Well, you got it now, right? Because there's not a day or a week that goes by that I don't have some kind of conversations with our board around talent in general. And that could go all the way from back in the pandemic around labor sustainability to CEO succession, and really around how do you have a culture where you can, sound simple, attract and develop and retain the absolute best talent in the marketplace.
Yeah. I mean, I love what you said. I think it's great that your organization has always had that where you felt like you always had a seat at the table. Because if I think about when I first jumped into HR 10 years ago, that was the conversation. How does the CHRO or HR have more of a seat at the table? And COVID massively accelerated that. And now it went from the CHRO wanting a seat at the table to having the biggest seat at the table.
That's right. I
And
would
I
say
think,
people will say, well, why have you stayed so long? And I've always said it's not that I just have a seat at the table, it's what seat I have at the table
yeah.
that's really kept me here. And that has been influencing business strategy and talking as much about customers as I do about employees. So we believe, we shape the culture, which shapes the employee experience, which shapes the customer experience. It sounds but we really believe that our people are our biggest asset, and making sure that they can come to work, thrive, and be their best is always going to make us a better partner to our customers every
So how do
single
you do
day.
that? Because I mean, I think about what you said in terms of your own background. You operate so many different business units, and to be able to maintain the values and the leadership behaviors throughout the organization. Are there some specific best practices that you've implemented to make this stick in the organization?
Yeah, so before 2018, this may be hard to believe, we didn't really have what we would call a cultural mission vision. We had values, but we had 12 of them. So you can imagine nobody can remember 12. And we call that framework kind of our path forward. And we did that work in 2018 and slightly tweaked it last year. But I would say the success of that and that you can get everybody not only rowing in the same direction, but understanding, first of all, you kind of start, I call it, you start from the ground up. We didn't engage a PR firm to say, hey, let's design these really cool values and mission and vision. We went out and talked to thousands of employees. What defines what you think we do? What is the mission of our organization? So when you gather all of those insights internally and you hear from your employees, it's really very easy to rally around that. So, we have values and mission and our you'll if you were to listen to an interview of our CEO, he talks about being healthcare's most trusted partner in every video. And
Mm.
that is our mantra. That is our mission as an organization, or vision as an organization, and improving the lives of people every day. That is how we operate as an organization. We talk externally and internally around that. And not only do we talk about those values independently, but how they work together to make our employees and our businesses successful. So that's not just corporate speak. That's who we are. That's who we wake up every day to be. That is our North Star. So when you um, when you talk about them and when you interview around them and when you listen to your employees, those things become extremely meaningful to everyone. On just that's our operating principles under that framework.
I love it too because I think to your point, starting from the ground and hearing it from the front line, right, and then making sure that's where the culture is built and shaped. This is something I know that you put a lot out there around how to be very authentic in terms of making sure that the organization is listening to ultimately shape the culture, prioritize employee well-being. Um, you've shared a little bit about this, but any other advice you would give to leaders that are trying to build that kind of trust with their own teams and try to replicate a lot of what you've accomplished?
Yeah, I always kind of say you need to meet your organization, the people around it, kind of where they are. So we we don't have a very fancy name, but in HR we kind of call it our comprehensive listening strategy, and it's kind of multi-dimensional. So we obviously do a lot of surveys,
Mm.
whether it be onboarding surveys, exit surveys, VOE surveys, engagement surveys, whatever you want to call it. We take data and we kind of understand that data. But I think supplementing that with listening strategies where we can go out and kind of dig that layer down from what the numbers are saying, like what is the story behind those numbers? And that is really a push from our business, not necessarily a push from HR. So our leaders are intensely curious about what is on the mind of our employees and how do we create this culture so that we can continue to both personally thrive as individuals, teams, and as a business. So we take that listening strategy pretty seriously, and it's just interesting because there'll be a team and say, hey, can we just get a group together and kind of do a quick focus group and understand kind of what's behind that. So I do think that that is an important step. But I also think it's important when you listen to your employees, they need to know that you're going to do something about it, right? If you just ask and then go, thanks, and kind of move on. So there's a lot of things. I mean, a good example, even the framework that I talked about, employees need that we went out and asked them. We go out and do a lot of things on well-being, but we follow back up and understanding, are we meeting the commitments that we're making to you? So it's that constant flow of information back and forth that I think not only creates a great culture, but on that foundation is trust between us, our customers, our employees, and let's be really clear about this. we have an advantage, I think, in this organization because we're a healthcare company and
Right.
everybody likes to wake up every day and know that they're making a difference. And whether it be a frontline employee that's picking um, a, uh, a, a drug or a medical product, that end user could be their grandmother or their sister or their child. And so those stories and that sense of mission driven is so important to our organization and so important to our employees because they know that they're making a difference in someone's life on that day.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, I think that point around being mission driven and sort of creating this sense of unity and reinforcing that, and it sounds like you're doing it through a number of ways in terms of making sure there's a plethora of ways that people can share their point of view and their opinion and what they want to see, and then also making sure it's a two-way communication. Here are the things that we've done as a result of listening. Are there any specific other tools you'd say that are helping to reinforce the unity that you've created there?
Well, I think again, when you think about, we do a lot of benchmarking ourselves to kind of look at what we're doing compared against other organizations. We partner outside. We learn from, other organizations. But I think it's the kind of the two-way communication between our employees, our managers. We take manager capability training very, very seriously. We sit down with every employee quarterly and not only talk about their performance, but around their aspirations on careers. We call that our time to talk. So it's
Mm,
not just surveys and group listening sessions, but it's that one-on-one interaction between you and me as your manager, and I'm on your team, that we're making sure that we are meeting our goals personally and as a team and as an organization, but also what are your desires from a career standpoint. I love to tell the story. Um, our head of supply chain for our distribution centers and our med business started off as an intern in our organization, and so he's now leading our medical supply chain. So there is career progression, really, and we've got many examples of folks that even started on our front line that are in a leadership capability. So I think it's that, again, wanting people to thrive in our organization through career development or mentorship or other ways that we can just make sure that people can fulfill whatever dreams that they have.
yeah, I love it. I mean, I think it's that sharing those stories to ignite possibility for individuals is certainly one. And then, you hit on it again around mentorship, which is something I certainly wanted to ask you about. You shared already one of your mentors. I'm curious if there's another one or two mentors along the way that have really helped you in your career that you'd want to shout out. And then conversely, if there's any people or what you're doing specifically now to give back as a mentor.
Yeah, I would tell you that I've been kind of blessed, and I'll use a couple of examples here. So I talked about Pam Kimmett, who I got to work with. The other CHRO I got to work with here at Cardinal Health was Carol Watkins, and I still talk to those two women quite a bit from a personal development standpoint. I also am on a nonprofit board that Carol and I are associated with. So it's just great to have those mentors in life, as well as in your careers. I would tell you that, from a business standpoint, I've had opportunity to work with some great folks, both on our executive team. I look at our chief legal officer, Jessica Mayer, as a great mentor to me. We work really closely together a lot, not just on our executive committee, but with our board. So I think there's, that way as well. The other two call outs I'll use, Frank, is I have great mentors in our HR community. We have a great group of CHROs here in Columbus that really
Mm,
formally formed during the pandemic when we were all trying to say, what are you doing? What are you doing? We were all trying to find our way. But that external group of mentors has been really important, not just in the Columbus area, but just to be able to reach out to Nickel at IBM or other CHROs. They're great peer mentors, and I find this community is really just so gracious with helping each other and again not in reinventing the wheel every time something comes open. I would tell you probably the most important mentors to me in my organization are my truth tellers. So I talk a lot about truth tellers. You've seen posts about truth tellers, but whether it be from a personal development, I have a group that will go, "Mm, you didn't get your point across.
Yeah.
Or you could have done it a little bit better, or here's what people are saying." And I think that's an important thing. Maybe it's when you're as chatty as I am sometimes, to be able to have those groups to say, you really nailed it, or you kind of missed this point. So I have given full permission for people to give me feedback back so that I can grow from a standpoint. From a CHR standpoint, another group of those truth tellers has to be that you got to know what's going on in your organization. By the time things that get to me or the CEO or the CFO, they've been so sanitized that sometimes you just got to know what's really happening. I can't walk the floor like I used to walk a floor in a distribution center and talk to every employee each day, but at least I can reach to someone to say, how did that message go? And people will give me that kind of unfiltered, here's what's really kind of going on. You have to keep those folks sacred, so to speak, because you don't want them to necessarily feel any repercussions from, hey, so and so told me this. But to your point, I think you get it. You've got to surround yourself with people that will really be honest with you and tell you what's going on, whether it be with you, whether you can reach out and ask for advice. But I think that's really important, to kind of stay transparent and authentic with both your employees as well as people that you look up to.
Yeah, I love it. You hear a lot about similar to truth tellers, things like lifeline groups, right? Or your sort of your own little board of directors, people that you can call on when you need something. And certainly love truth tellers, and love the shout out to Nicole, who is one of the first podcast guests and was at the Knicks game with her only a few weeks ago, prior to them unfortunately getting
Yeah,
eliminated.
luckily I've got just this great little network of folks that you would know. Coley O'Brien over at Wendy's is a lifeline for me. John Beckel at Ohio Health. So whether it be here in Columbus or out there, like I said, I think that people are so gracious with trying to support each other with all the challenges that are going on, or just, hey, just making something a little easier for someone. I think you always want to try to do that with your peers.
Well, yeah, thank you for sharing that context. Now I'm going to hit you with some hard questions.
Okay.
Beach vacation or ski trip?
Oh, beach vacation, no doubt.
That was an easy one.
That was
What
easy.
song always gets you in the zone?
Oh, oh goodness. Lovely Day by Bill Withers. How about that?
Well, I like that.
Now, you can put on a Bon Jovi song. I am an 80s girl, so that probably would get me going too. But I usually play Bill Withers on my way to work to convince myself it's going to be a lovely day.
Wow, that's a good one. That's very
That's
uplifting.
yeah.
One food you could not absolutely live without.
We just had this conversation at with my kids. It's got to be a potato, right? It can do so much. You can fry it, you can bake it, you can make vodka out of it, which was, a conversation in itself over the weekend. So I don't. I'm a potato girl, no doubt.
I'm Italian, so probably would be pasta.
Okay.
Last one. If you were in an HR, what would your dream job be?
I would be a sideline reporter for college football.
Oh, cool.
No doubt. I could spend every Saturday at a college football game. One of these days I'm gonna pick a game, an historic game that I just want to go see. It could be Florida, Georgia, which is kind of, as an SEC girl, those are not my teams. But, in Jacksonville, that's a historic game. Or go to Notre Dame and see them play. I love college football, and so I would be a sideline reporter.
Well, hopefully for someone from ABC or NBC is listening to this at some
I think
point and
my
can help.
time is past, Frank.
Ola, thank you so much for spending some time with us today. Really love the insights you shared, and looking forward to hopefully the next time we meet in person.
You too, Frank. Thank you so much, and I look forward to connecting again.
All right. Thanks, Ola.
Take care. Bye-bye.